I find it almost more interesting, but I think it's a prejudice I have because I started in radio. I still think radio is a wonderful medium. I wish radio ruled the world, but of course it's a backwater basically now. But so coming to do a voice for an animated character is just going back to what I loved best 30 years ago, which is just doing it all with the ear and with the imagination. And obviously you have to do it all with the voice. You can't do it with a walk or with facial expressions. And I happen to enjoy that best, so it suits me just fine. I thought he was a very original frog, and I'd never seen a frog drawn quite like that. And it also gave me a slight feeling for the character. The thing is, he's definitely sort of got a bit of a jaw here, like I have. But that almost had to be worked against, because if you do this, and the voice comes down. So I had to work slightly against that. But there was something about his look that amused me, a slightly puzzled look, as if life didn't quite make sense to him. And so I used that a little bit. As someone sitting in the audience, I think I've always enjoyed the witty ones. Therefore, things like The Jungle Book, 101 Dalmatians, where an animated film can go into the realms of fantasy, comedy fantasy, that 30 years ago you used to get on the radio. The wonderful thing about the radio was you could create these images which no filmmaker could ever make. Now in animation you can actually put the images up. So that's what I love, the wit and the fantastical images, but always when it's funny. I find animation does not move me emotionally. So I love it as a wit, as a more intellectual thing. Now this was difficult in some ways, because when you start doing this, you know, what sound impressive is to go right down there, you know, and that's what they do. And what was difficult here is I had to keep the thing fairly high-pitched, because if I go down there, he starts sounding much older, and he's obviously quite a young frog. The other thing is the clarity. I mean, there are certain sounds that the French make, which if I said them in this film, the audience, 99% of the audience who don't speak French, would not know what I was saying. So there are certain phrases that I have to cheat and say much more clearly than a French person would really say them. But that's a sensible compromise. No point in saying it with a beautiful French accent if nobody understands it. The thing I find most impressive about this afternoon is Rick's extraordinary memory for exactly what's happening in every frame and how he can describe to me exactly what's going on, so that I know, for example, if I'm talking to someone who's as close to me as you are, or whether he's someone a bit further away who I've got to throw my voice. It's extraordinary how much he remembers. The other thing is the way they're running another little camera on me throughout the procedure, so that the animator actually sees on a little screen what my face is doing before he starts to draw that face, so that I'm giving him a lead into the facial expressions by what I'm actually doing at the moment that I'm recording the voice. I'm impressed by that. I think that's sort of height of professionalism.